Princess Ariana of Valaris stood on the balcony of her private chamber, looking at the endless sky above her empire's capital. The night was calm, with blue moons glowing softly over the crystal towers of the city. Airships moved silently through the sky, their lights drifting like fireflies. Anyone who looked at her would think she was simply admiring the peaceful view. But her eyes were not calm. They were full of a pain she had carried for 5 long years. Everyone believed that Captain Daniel Hayes, her human husband, had died during a diplomatic mission. The Valaris Council had declared his ship lost beyond recovery. Even Earth officials accepted the tragedy with heavy hearts. But Ariana never accepted it. Not on the first day. Not on the 100th day. Not even after 5 full years of searching across dangerous star systems. She closed her eyes and let the cool wind touch her face. The wind reminded her of him. Daniel used to tell her that on Earth, the wind carried memories, scents of the ocean, distant forests, passing cities. He said that sometimes, if you listened carefully, the wind felt like a whisper from someone far away. Ariana never believed that until the day Daniel disappeared. Since then, she felt something strange inside her. A small, constant pull in her heart that whispered he was not gone. Behind her, the soft sound of footsteps echoed on the polished floor. Her old advisor, Lorraine, entered the balcony with a worried expression. "Princess," he said gently, "the council will meet in the morning. They want you to stop the search. They say it is harming your reputation." Ariana did not move. "My reputation does not matter. The people worry," Lorraine continued. "You are the future queen of Valaris. You have spent years flying through dangerous territories. Your enemies grow bold when they see you out of the palace." She turned to him slowly. Her voice was soft, but her words were firm. "I will not stop. Not until I find him." Lauren sighed. He had served her family for decades, and knew better than to argue. "Very well," he said. "But the council will not be pleased." Ariana gave a tired, small smile. "The council has not been pleased with me since the day I married Daniel." That much was true. The Valaris Empire had a long history of interstellar diplomacy, but marrying outside their species, especially with a species as young and unpredictable as humans, was unusual. Ariana knew it. Daniel knew it. But they married anyway. They believed love was stronger than politics. She still remembered the first day she met Daniel. He was a young explorer, part of Earth's first formal contact team sent to Valaris. Unlike the others, he was not intimidated by the alien beauty of their cities or their advanced technology. He was full of curiosity, the kind that made his eyes shine. He asked questions no diplomat dared to ask. He walked through the gardens as if every flower was a wonder. Ariana found herself drawn to his simple honesty. He spoke from the heart, and she trusted him instinctively. Their connection grew quickly, quietly, and deeply, so deeply that she married him in a private ceremony attended only by a few loyal friends. Everything was perfect, until the Xylar Dominion invited Daniel's research team to the border zone for a scientific exchange. Ariana had warned him not to go. The Xylar were strange, secretive, and their technology, especially their cloaking fields, was unpredictable. But Daniel believed in peace. He believed in understanding. He told her, "If we want to build trust with other empires, we must take risks." Ariana waited for his return. He never came back. His ship vanished without sending a distress call. The Xylar denied all involvement. The Valaris Council told her the ship likely broke apart in a gravity storm near the border. Earth's officials agreed with the analysis. Everyone said Daniel was gone. But Ariana felt something no one else could understand. She felt that Daniel was alive. She did not know how she knew, maybe because of love, maybe because of instinct, maybe because some bonds do not break even across galaxies. Whatever the reason, she trusted it more than she trusted the Council's reports. She opened her eyes again and looked at the sky. Far beyond those stars, somewhere, Daniel was waiting. Later that night, she walked into her private command room, a hidden chamber only her most loyal crew knew about. The walls were covered with star maps, scattered logs, abandoned distress signals, and lists of planets she had searched. Her ship, the Starlight Voyager, was ready for another journey. Her captain, Talren, stood by the control panel. He was a tall Valerian with silver markings on his skin, a sign of a seasoned space navigator. "We received a new signal," he said without looking up. Ariana stepped closer. "A new signal?" "Yes. A very strange one. Weak, broken, and very old. But the frequency—" He hesitated. "It is human." Ariana's heartbeat suddenly sped up. She gripped the edge of the table. "Play it." Talren pressed a button. The room filled with static noise, like whispers hidden behind a storm. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then, a faint voice cut through the static. "Ari, I'm still here." Ariana froze. The voice was weak, as if it had traveled through years of darkness. But it was his. It was Daniel's. Her breath shook. Talren looked at her with uncertainty. "Princess, it might be an old echo. A voice recording from years ago. Many signals drift through space." She shook her head slowly, her eyes glistening. "No. That was current. That was real." Talren opened a map. The signal came from the edge of the Karthos sector. A dangerous region. Radiation storms, unstable wormholes. Many ships go missing there. "If Daniel is there," Ariana said, "then I am going." Talren hesitated. "Princess, the Council. The Council no longer guides my steps," she said calmly. "Plot the course." Talren bowed his head. "As you command." Within an hour, the Starlight Voyager left the capital. The ship glided into space, its engines humming softly as it moved away from the safe borders of the Valaris Empire. Ariana stood by the observation window. Stars stretched like silver dust across the dark canvas of space. She remembered the nights she and Daniel spent watching the stars together. He told her that humans looked at stars not only to see beauty, but to imagine possibilities. "Every point of light," he said, "is a chance for discovery." Fairy. The 27.79. She pressed her hand lightly against the glass. "Daniel," she whispered, "I am coming." The journey to the Karthos sector took several days. During the travel, Ariana spent hours examining the signal again and again. Each time, she heard the same soft whisper, his voice calling to her across unimaginable distance. Her crew told her to rest, but she could not. She had waited 5 years for a sign. Now that she had one, she would not waste a second. On the 4th day, the ship entered the Karthos sector. Immediately, the windows darkened, protecting the crew from the harsh radiation outside. Strange colors danced across the sky, storms of red and purple energy twisting and merging like living creatures. Ariana felt a chill run across her skin. Talren studied the readings. "The signal originated from somewhere near that unstable asteroid field," he said. "But there is something else. A structure. A large one." Ariana stepped forward. "A structure?" "Yes. Metallic, old, and hidden behind cloaking debris. Almost like a facility." His voice lowered. "This region is believed to be used by the Xylar Dominion." Her eyes sharpened. "Then we are close." The ship moved carefully through the asteroid field. Sharp rocks spun dangerously, glowing with strange energy. Smaller meteors scraped the shields, creating sparks of blue light. Ariana watched every second, her heart tense. Then, out of the darkness, a shape appeared. A large metallic structure, half buried in shadow, half glowing faintly. It looked like a forgotten prison, silent and cold. Strange symbols, Xylar markings, glowed dimly on its walls. Ariana's breath caught. This was no ordinary outpost. This was a prison world. A secret one. Talren looked at her with worry. "If Daniel was here?" Ariana finished his sentence quietly. "Then he was taken." She did not blink, did not breathe, did not look away from the massive structure. Her voice was steady, but her heart was burning. "Prepare to enter. We are going inside." Her long search was no longer directionless. She finally had a trail, and she would follow it no matter the cost. The hidden prison world of Carthos 9 looked dead from the outside, like a giant metallic tomb floating in darkness. No lights flickered on its surface, no ships guarded it, and no signs of life appeared on the scanners. Yet Ariana felt a seriousness in the air, a quiet pressure like unseen eyes watching them. Her instincts told her this place was far from empty. As the Starlight Voyager drifted closer, Talrin adjusted the shields. "Radiation storms nearby are strong," he said. "We must move slowly. A fast approach may trigger their hidden defenses." Ariana stood beside him, her eyes fixed on the structure. It had the cold, sharp architecture typical of the Xylar Dominion, twisting metal spires, angular corridors, and dark observation towers. But this place was different. It felt older, abandoned on purpose, yet still active in some secret way. "Is the signal still present?" she asked softly. Talrin checked the scanners. "It is weak, but yes. Coming from deep inside the facility." Her heart tightened. It was faint, almost like an echo trapped in a cave, but it meant someone or something had sent it, and that someone might be Daniel. The ship lowered its thrusters and locked onto a small docking port covered in dust and broken wiring. Ariana and a small team prepared to enter. She wore lightweight armor that allowed silent movement, and a device on her wrist projected a soft blue glow that could create holographic disguises. Her people had used such technology for decades, but she had never used it for something so personal. "Princess," Talrin said as he handed her a scanner. "This place may have active Xylar soldiers. There could be traps." She nodded. "I know. But if Daniel was ever here, I must find out." They stepped into the docking tube, and the metal doors opened with a slow hiss. A wave of cold, stale air drifted over them. It smelled of dust, rust, and something older: abandonment. Maybe grief. Ariana kept walking until they reached a long corridor. The walls were covered with strange Xylar symbols, written in their sharp, spiral script. Some glowed faintly, like dying stars trapped in metal. "It hasn't been used by the main Dominion forces for years," Talrin said quietly. But something kept it running. Lights flickered weakly above them, giving short glimpses of their surroundings. The floor was cracked, wires hung from the ceilings, and large doors lined both sides of the hall. Ariana approached the first door and scanned it. The sensor beeped. "It's a cell," she whispered. Prisoners were kept here. When she opened the door just slightly, she felt her breath catch. Inside were old chains attached to the walls, broken restraints on the ground, and marks scratched into the metal surface. Someone had tried to escape. Someone had fought hard. Talrin moved beside her. "There may still be prisoners in deeper sections. Should we attempt a full scan?" "No," she said, shaking her head. "A scan might alert the Xylar systems." We proceed quietly. They moved deeper into the facility. The halls were dark, each intersection feeling like a place where shadows waited to move. Several times, Ariana felt a vibration under her feet, as if machines deep below were still alive. She followed the signal soft, pulling her like a memory she couldn't ignore. After several minutes, they reached a large chamber filled with glowing tanks. Strange blue liquids bubbled inside them. Ariana stepped closer, reading the labels. "These were used for biological studies," Talrin whispered. "Experiments." Ariana's stomach tightened. "Experiments? On prisoners?" Talrin nodded grimly. "Yes. The Xylar are known to test the limits of other species, especially those they fear." Ariana swallowed. They feared humans. She remembered the old discussions between empires. The Xylar Dominion had always considered humans unpredictable, strange, and strangely hopeful. They said humans had an unusual mix of resilience and creativity that made them dangerous in the long term. Many empires saw humans as young explorers. The Xylar saw them as potential threats. Ariana walked through the chamber, her boots echoing softly. On a side table, she noticed small metal tags, each with inscriptions. One tag made her stop completely. Subject H27. Human. Transferred to Central Facility. Her heart hammered. She touched the tag gently. It was cold, old, and dusty. But it confirmed everything. Daniel had been here. He had been taken, studied, and moved. Talrin noticed her silence. "Princess, do you want a moment?" She shook her head. "No, I want answers." She moved forward with sharper focus now. The narrow halls led them to a deeper section of the facility. Unlike the earlier rooms, these looked newer, less worn, more intact. It was as if someone continued to use them long after the rest of the prison was abandoned. Ariana and her team approached a sealed door, glowing with red Xylar symbols. Talrin scanned it. This door requires a high clearance level. It belongs to research directors. "Open it," she said. Talrin hesitated. "It may trigger alarms." "I don't care. Open it." Talrin took a deep breath and began bypassing the lock. His fingers moved quickly across the panel, and after a few tense seconds, the door slid open. Inside was a circular room filled with holographic screens. Some flickered with faded images. Others showed strange data. In the center stood a single chair, with restraints obviously used for interrogations. Against the far wall, a large screen displayed several faces and names. Ariana stepped closer. Most names belonged to alien species she recognized, but then she saw a familiar name, one that froze her completely. Captain Daniel Hayes. Status: transferred. Location: Black Meridian. Her breath stopped. She stared at the screen for several seconds. Then she whispered, "Daniel, they moved you." Talrin scanned the screen. "Black Meridian," he said slowly. "That is no ordinary prison. It is a massive Xylar fortress near a collapsing star. The Dominion hides its most dangerous prisoners there." Ariana's hands trembled. "They took him there because he resisted." Talrin looked at her with concern. "Princess, if he was sent to Black Meridian, the situation is far worse than we thought." Before she could respond, the lights in the room flickered violently. A deep mechanical hum filled the air. The facility was waking up. Talrin spun around. "We triggered the security network." A loud alarm suddenly screamed through the halls. Red lights flashed everywhere. The ground shook slightly as metal doors slammed shut in the distance. Ariana steadied herself. "We need to leave now." They rushed toward the exit, but before they reached the hallway, a figure stumbled out from behind a large console. It was tall, with gray skin and glowing violet eyes, the features of a Xylar. Ariana raised her weapon quickly, but the alien lifted both hands. "Stop," he said in a trembling voice. "Do not shoot." Talrin aimed anyway. "Identify yourself." The alien spoke quickly. "I am not your enemy. I am a defector. I tried to leave the Dominion years ago, but they imprisoned me here. I heard you searching for the human." Ariana stepped closer, studying him. "You know of him?" The alien nodded weakly. "Yes. The human. Daniel Hayes. He was strong. Very strong. The Dominion feared him. He gave hope to the other prisoners. He refused to break. They moved him to Black Meridian for deeper study. And because the prisoners began to follow him, Ariana felt her chest tighten painfully. Daniel had survived. He had fought. He had inspired others. That was exactly who he was. A loud metal crash echoed nearby. Security drones were approaching. "We must leave," Talrin said urgently. The Xylar defector raised his hand. "Take me with you. I know the layout of Black Meridian. Without me, you will not reach him." Ariana looked into his eyes. They were full of fear but also desperation. She nodded. "Come quickly." They sprinted through the halls as alarms blared. Dark drones crawled from the ceilings, firing small bursts of energy. Ariana deflected one with her shield, and Talrin shot another with precise aim. The team moved fast, passing old cells, broken machinery, and symbols glowing brighter as the facility awakened. They reached the docking port just as metal gates began closing behind them. Talrin activated the ship's boarding tube, and Ariana pushed the defector inside. The gates slammed shut a second later, but they had escaped. The Starlight Voyager launched away from the prison world, its engines roaring as debris and energy waves chased it. When they were finally clear, Ariana pressed her hand over her heart. For the first time in years, she felt something warm hope. The defector sat quietly, catching his breath. "The journey to Black Meridian will be dangerous," he said softly. Ariana looked at him with steady eyes. "Danger does not matter. My husband is alive." Her voice was calm, but her determination burned like a star. "Prepare the ship," she said. "Set a course for the Black Meridian." Her long search was no longer a wandering path through empty space. Now she had direction. Now she had purpose. Now she had the truth. Daniel was alive, and she was going to bring him home. The journey to Black Meridian was unlike any Ariana had ever taken. The fortress was located near a collapsing star, inside a region of space filled with violent gravity waves and unstable energy fields. Most ships avoided the area entirely. Even the Valaris Empire considered the region too dangerous to navigate. But Ariana did not hesitate. Her husband was somewhere inside that fortress, and nothing in the universe could stop her now. Inside the bridge of the Starlight Voyager, the lights dimmed slightly as the ship passed into darker space. Outside the window, the stars seemed to stretch and twist, distorted by the gravity storms around the collapsing star ahead. The air inside felt heavy, as if the danger outside could be felt even through the ship's shields. Talrin monitored the controls with a sharp focus. "We are entering the outer ring of the Meridian Zone," he said, gravity distortions increasing. Ariana did not look away from the window. "How long until we reach the fortress?" "If conditions remain stable," Talrin replied. 6 hours. But they will not remain stable. The Xylar defector, whose name they had learned was Zorath, stepped forward slowly. His movements were cautious, as if he was unsure whether he was truly a free man. His violet eyes focused on the star map. "The Dominion hides Black Meridian inside an artificial shadow bubble," he explained. "It is invisible, unless you know the exact coordinates. The bubble bends light around it." Ariana turned to him. "How many guards? How many defenses?" Zorath hesitated before answering. "Hundreds. Maybe more. The fortress is one of the most secure places in the Dominion. Anyone taken there is never meant to return." Ariana felt the words like cold knives. But she did not let fear control her. "Daniel is still alive," she said firmly. "If the Dominion wanted him dead, they would have said so. They kept him for a reason." Zorath nodded slowly. "They feared him. Humans are different. Their recovery speed, their adaptability, their beliefs. He was not like other prisoners. He kept fighting. He kept inspiring others." Talrin added softly. "The report said he resisted for years. That alone is incredible." Ariana closed her eyes for a brief moment. She imagined Daniel's face, his warm smile, the strength in his eyes, the way he used to encourage her whenever she doubted herself. She imagined him trapped in a place of darkness, alone but unbroken. The thought filled her with both pain and determination. The ship shook suddenly as a wave of unstable energy passed through the area. The screens flickered. Talrin gripped the control panel. "Brace yourselves." Ariana held onto the railing as the ship rattled violently. Outside, the collapsing star pulsed like a giant heartbeat, sending shockwaves across the region. The light around them twisted again, forming spirals of red and blue energy. Zorath watched with a tense expression. "Once we pass through the final barrier, the fortress should appear." Talrin frowned. "Should?" Zorath gave a weak, nervous smile. "Nothing here is guaranteed." Ariana stepped forward. "Then we brace for the unexpected." For the next hours, the ship fought through storms of gravity and light. Several times, the shields dimmed dangerously, but Talrin managed to stabilize them. The engines hummed loudly, struggling but never failing. Ariana stayed on the bridge the entire time, refusing to rest. After hours of careful navigation, Zorath pointed to the screen. There. At first, nothing appeared. Just empty space, swirling energy, and the threatening glow of the collapsing star. Then, like a shadow rising from the void, a massive structure slowly materialized. Dark, silent, and unbelievably huge. Black Meridian. It floated like a giant armored beast. Its surface covered with thousands of small lights, guard paths, sensors, drones. It was circular in shape, built from layers of metal and shielding. The outer walls were thick enough to hold back the violent energy around it. It looked ancient and indestructible, like something built to imprison entire worlds. Tolrin whispered, "By the stars, it's enormous." Ariana felt a chill run through her. This is where they took him. Zorath took a deep breath. "We cannot approach directly. The fortress will fire the moment it detects us." "Then how do we enter?" Ariana asked. "There is a hidden maintenance port on the lower side," Zorath said. "I cleaned that area when I was a prisoner here. Only low-ranking workers use it. If we access it, we can enter the lower corridors." Ariana nodded. "Then we use that." Talrin guided the ship carefully around the swirling black energy fields surrounding the fortress. When they reached the lower side, they saw the port, a small metal opening compared to the size of the structure, almost invisible to scanners. The Starlight Voyager activated its cloaking system and moved slowly toward it. Ariana watched every meter, her heart beating faster with each second. When the ship finally connected to the port, the docking clamps clicked into place. "We're in position," Talrin said. Ariana exhaled slowly. "Prepare the team." Minutes later, Ariana, Talrin, Zorath, and 3 trained soldiers stepped into the small docking chamber. Each wore silent armor with shield projectors. Ariana felt the weight of the moment settle around her. Zorath gently touched the panel on the side of the port. The metal door opened with a faint hiss, revealing a narrow passageway lit by pale blue lights. The air smelled cold, metallic, and strangely sterile. "This way," Zorath whispered. They moved quietly through the passage, their footsteps barely making a sound. The deeper they went, the tighter the air felt. Ariana sensed something heavy in the atmosphere: sorrow, fear, the weight of long suffering. The walls seemed to echo with memories of those who had been trapped there. After several turns, they reached a large service corridor. Machines hummed on both sides. Drones floated by on silent routes, scanning the area with red lights. Ariana motioned for her team to hide behind a support beam as one drone passed close by. Zorath spoke softly. "The upper levels hold the main cells. The middle levels contain laboratories. The lower levels are punishment zones." "Okay." Ariana felt a wave of pain at those words. Where would Daniel be? Zorath closed his eyes, thinking. If he still resisted, he would be in the upper-level isolation wing. The Dominion keeps their strongest prisoners there. But getting there will not be easy. "We will make it," Ariana said. They moved again, climbing a maintenance ladder to the next level. Once they reached the upper corridor, they saw more drones and several Xylar guards wearing dark armor. The guards carried energy staffs glowing with purple light. Ariana pressed herself against the wall as 2 guards walked by, speaking in their sharp language. She didn't understand the words, but she understood the tone. They were on alert. When the guards passed, they moved forward. Zorath led them through a side door, into another hall, filled with small, sealed doors, prison cells. The lights here were dimmer, and the air smelled stale. Ariana's heart began to pound. Somewhere behind one of these doors, Daniel might be here. Talrin scanned each door quickly with a silent device. "Empty. Empty. Empty," he whispered. Zorath stopped suddenly, his eyes widened. "This one," Ariana's breath caught. "He's inside?" Zorath pressed his ear to the door. "Someone is. But the scanners are blocked from inside. It could be him." Ariana stepped forward. Her hands trembled as she reached for the panel. She entered the override code Zorath gave her. The door slid open slowly, its hinges creaking from disuse. Inside, the cell was dark. Only a faint blue light glowed from the ceiling. Chains hung from the walls. A thin mattress lay on the ground. And in the corner, sitting with his back to them, was a man. His hair was longer, his shoulders were thinner. His posture was tired, but Ariana knew him instantly. "Daniel," she whispered. The man did not move at first, as if he believed the voice was a dream. Slowly, he turned his head. His eyes widened, breathing caught in his throat. He stood up shakily. "Ariana?" His voice was hoarse, barely more than a whisper. Is it really you?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Yes, it's me." He staggered forward, each step heavy. When he finally reached her, he touched her face gently, as if afraid she would vanish. "You came," he whispered. "I never stopped looking," she said, voice shaking. For a moment, they simply held on to each other, silent, fragile, real. But the moment didn't last. An alarm suddenly blared through the prison. Red lights flooded the corridors. Talrin looked around sharply. "We've been detected." Zorath inhaled sharply. "We must leave now." Ariana tightened her grip on Daniel. "Can you walk?" Daniel straightened slowly, his eyes filled with a burning determination. "I can run." The fortress shook as lockdown protocols activated, and the escape began. The search ships of the Exerion Empire covered the dark side of the broken moon, while Princess Lyra stood at the front window of her flagship. The stars looked quiet and peaceful, but she knew something was happening behind that silence. Her heart felt heavy, but it also burned with determination. She had found Alex again, and she was not going to lose him this time. The enemies were closing in from all sides, and she could feel the tension growing with every passing minute. Far below, on the cracked moon surface, Alex and Captain Rovan waited near the entrance of the underground vault they had discovered. Alex felt the cold wind blowing across the barren land, but he tried not to show his nervousness. After years of being lost, he wanted to stand strong beside Lyra. He had spent many years moving from place to place, escaping unknown enemies, and searching for answers. Now he understood why the enemy chased him. His DNA carried the key to an ancient machine, something that could create peace or destroy entire civilizations. He looked up at the sky where Lyra's ship glowed faintly like a silver star. He whispered her name without thinking. Even from this distance, he felt connected to her. Captain Rovan noticed and smiled a little. "She believes in you," Rovan said, "and she is not someone who gives up easily." Alex nodded. "I know." Before Rovan could reply, the ground shook under their feet. A dull echo rolled across the land. Dust rose from the cracked surface, and red warning lights on their suits began to flash. Alex braced himself, thinking the vault might be collapsing. But then he saw dark shapes appearing above the cliff's enemy ships. Rovan cursed softly and grabbed Alex's shoulder. "We need to get inside now." The vault door opened with a slow rumble, revealing a long passage that glowed with pale blue lights. Alex and Rovan rushed in, just as the first enemy blasts hit the ground outside, sending rocks flying. The door slid shut behind them, sealing off the outside world. Inside, the air felt strangely warm and quiet. The walls were smooth and seemed to shift like flowing water. Alex placed his hand on one wall and felt a faint pulse, like the vault itself was alive. He did not understand how, but the vault reacted to him. Symbols lit up when he passed them, guiding him deeper into the structure. Rovan walked beside him, scanning everything with a small device. "This place is older than any civilization we know," he said. "Even the records of the ancient galaxies do not mention something like this." Alex simply nodded, feeling something forming inside his chest like a memory he never had was waking up. Meanwhile, Lyra received the alert about enemy ships. Her eyes sharpened, and she immediately gave commands. "Send the intercept squad. Keep them away from the moon surface. Alex and Rovan must reach the core." Her officers worked quickly, and soon the sky above the moon became bright with energy flashes as Zerion fighters clashed with the enemy. Lyra watched each movement carefully, She was not only a princess, she was trained as a strategist, someone who could read enemy patterns and predict their next move. She knew this enemy well. They were silent, cold, and driven by a single goal: activate the ancient machine using Alex. Her breath caught for a moment. The thought of losing Alex again made her chest ache. But she forced herself to stay focused. There was too much at risk. The galaxy itself might fall if the machine was activated by the wrong hands. Deep inside the vault, Alex and Rovan reached a wide chamber filled with floating crystals. The crystals moved slowly in the air, glowing with shifting colors. A large circular platform stood in the center. Alex felt drawn to it, as if something inside the chamber called his name. Rovan stepped ahead cautiously. "This must be the core," he said. "But we do not know how it works." Alex walked closer without fear. The platform lit up under his feet. Symbols appeared in the air above him, forming patterns that spiraled outward like a map of the entire galaxy. The crystals hummed softly, reacting to his presence. "Alex, this thing is reading you," Rovan whispered. Alex closed his eyes, and suddenly a wave of memories he never lived rushed through him. Images of an ancient species that created the vault. A war unlike anything imagined. A warning. A choice. The machine was never meant to destroy. It was a protector, a guardian system that could stabilize dying stars and shield planets. But it required someone whose DNA carried both human adaptability and Zerion energy resonance. Someone exactly like him. Alex opened his eyes, breathing heavily. "I think I know what this machine can do," he said. "It's not a weapon. It can save entire worlds." Rovan looked shocked. "Then why does the enemy want it?" Alex answered quietly. "Because if they control it, they can rule everything." Before Rovan could respond, the vault shook violently. The lights flickered, and dust fell from high above. Lyra's voice came through Alex's earpiece. "Alex, the enemy breached our outer line. More ships are coming. You must activate the core now, if we want any chance to protect the moon." Alex felt fear rising in his chest, but he pushed it aside. He placed both hands on the floating symbols. The crystals spun faster, and beams of light connected them to the platform. Outside, Lyra's ship shook from the force of enemy blasts. She held onto the command rail as sparks showered the floor. "Hold your positions," she shouted. "Do not let them land." But the enemy ships were many. Their dark metal hulls cut through the sky like blades. Lyra's fighters took down several, but more kept coming, forming a wall of fire around the moon. Inside the vault, Alex felt energy rushing through him. The symbols wrapped around him like warm light. The machine asked for a choice: activate the Guardian system or shut it down forever. Alex saw flashes of possible futures. Worlds falling, stars collapsing, civilizations breaking apart under the enemy's control. He made his decision. He pressed his hands forward. The chamber erupted with light. A massive energy beam shot upward from the moon's surface, piercing the dark sky. Lyra saw it and froze for a second. The beam expanded like a giant shield, pushing enemy ships back. Their systems flickered and died. One by one, the ships fell apart or drifted helplessly. The beam continued to spread, covering the entire moon and expanding across nearby space. Her officers stared in disbelief. "Princess, what is happening?" Lyra whispered. "Alex did it." Inside the vault, Alex collapsed to his knees. Rovan caught him quickly. The light around them faded into a soft blue glow. The machine had accepted Alex's choice. The Guardian system was active again, after thousands of years. Outside, the enemy realized they were defeated. Their ships dropped out of formation and retreated into deep space. The danger was gone, at last. Lyra's ship landed near the vault, and she rushed out even before the dust settled. When the vault door opened, she ran inside without hesitation. She saw Alex standing weakly near the center, and her heart almost burst with relief. She ran to him and wrapped her arms around him tightly. Alex held her back, breathing in her familiar scent. He felt safe for the first time in years. I thought I would lose you again, Lyra whispered. Not this time, Alex said. I'm never leaving again. Rowan smiled as he watched them. Well, it seems the galaxy has its guardians again. Lyra looked around the vault with awe. Alex, you activated something ancient, something powerful. Alex nodded. It will protect many worlds. But it only works because of us together. Human and Zerion. Lyra took his hand. Then we will face the future together. They walked out of the vault into the soft glow of the new protective shield surrounding the moon. The galaxy was safe for now. Their journey had been long, filled with loss, fear, and endless searching. But at last, they had found each other again, and this time, nothing would separate them. They stood side by side, watching the shield shimmer across the sky, ready to build a new life and protect the worlds that depended on them. The story of the human husband and the alien princess would be told for generations, a reminder that hope, love, and courage could change the fate of entire galaxies.